Hello, my name is Jeff Thompson from Synergistic Capital Markets located in the Chicagoland area. Our company is a multi-strategy hedge fund that works within 4 or 5 different sectors of investments which are considered to be non-correlated investments, meaning that they're not directly related to the fluctuation and volatility within the stock market. Under Synergistic Group, our trading manager or our chief investment officer is a woman by the name of Susan Show. Susan manages multiple traders in fixed income, private equity, the Forex market, commodities markets, and the equity markets themselves, meaning the macro markets, which could be traded at any level. The reason I'm bringing this video to you today is over the course of the last 3 and 4 years, one of the things that we realized very, very strongly was a client who has money needs to have it deployed. If it sits in a bank, the loss of income or the loss of spendable dollars against inflation creates a serious reduction in the overall long-term growth. On the other side of it, the fear of loss today is greater than the hope for gain. Let's face it, in the collapse of 2008, 30 to 40% of values in 401ks, IRAs, other investments lost that kind of money, which affected everybody. Trillions of dollars worth of losses affected the entire world economy. There was the real estate collapse, which had thousands upon thousands of investors alone going into foreclosure, creating one of the largest foreclosure booms in the US history. And an overall recession that is the greatest recession since the Great Depression. I as well lost a lot of money as a real estate investor. I've got real estate developments that I had been involved in that we still haven't broke ground on. But what came out of all that is what brings us here today. Understanding that from the side of an investor, hope for gain is what we all had up to the collapse of the markets. Now we have a fear of loss, which is greater than our hope for gain. What I basically done is I created a hedging mechanism back in 2008 that utilized discounted purchases of senior life settlements, which we'll get into a little further, and combine that into a special purpose vehicle or a special purpose company that is bankruptcy remote. What that means is that I can have an investment here. I can have an SPV, special purpose vehicle here. I can put senior life settlements in it up to the amount of what I have to invest, and then make my risk investments over here, knowing that even if I lose on these, I'm going to receive 100% of my principal back. We created the Pythagoras formula and we created the abacus formula. What we're going to be talking about today for the National Veterans Museum is the abacus formula in itself, and we'll get into more detail as we get into the PowerPoint slide video of it. But under those premises, we had taken an entirely different look, a different approach to the market. Our approach to the market was to create the hedge fund, create a registered investment advisory firm, create a broker-dealer, all of which had a full capacity of understanding of risk tolerance, discretionary risk, fiduciary responsibility to the client versus fee income, and bringing all of those things into a very, very robust package that is designed to give an investor, a qualified investor, a pension fund, anybody who does want to deploy capital into the market, a very safe and ethical place for that money to be deployed. The National Veterans Museum in itself is an investment, no question about it. What we've done is we have coupled the hedging mechanism to the investment to create all 3 areas of what an investor needs. Number 1, safety and liquidity. Number 2, entry strategy and exit strategy. Number 3, rate of internal return, ROI. These are the items that were pulled together by Synergistic Group in correspondence with the National Veterans Museum to not only make the National Veterans Museum a great investment because of what it stands for. It stands for our troops, it stands for every military person from the initial Revolutionary War, all the way through today and the wars of the future that may be fought. That in itself is the merit of why you want to be involved in the National Veterans Museum. The reality of it is that things have been so bad financially for everybody that becoming involved in a project has a lot of risk. We at Synergistic took the risk out. We created a return for the client who comes into it. We created stability, and we created an exit strategy. And as we go through this video, you're in the next segment, which is more of a PowerPoint segment, I'm going to explain all of those items to you in a little more detail. Clearly, you will want to talk to somebody who works with the National Veterans Museum. You'll also need to work with a qualified investment advisor, i.e. somebody who's got a Series 65, somebody who's got a Series 7 license. These are things that are required. You need to be a accredited investor. And what accredited means that you've got $1 million or greater in net worth. And this is all done by a private placement memorandum. So from here we're going to move on to the next segment of the video, which is going to be a PowerPoint presentation that explains a little bit about the life settlements, the hedging mechanisms, and the reasons that we have used those for the NVM. With that being said, let's start the video presentation, and we'll look for further questions afterwards. Hello, this is Jeff Thompson. I'm back after the quick little intro video on a little bit about myself, Synergistic Group, and what we do. What we're going to talk about over the next 15 minutes or so in this video is the National Veterans Museum, why it's important, the benefits of being an investor where you've got a absolute entry strategy, an exit strategy, and you've got full securitization of your investment. These are all extremely important things, as we've already addressed, and so we're going to take some time and now get into a little bit of a risk disclosure. So, from a legal and a compliance standpoint, first off, this is not a solicitation to buy, sell, or trade securities. There is inherent risk with any investment, and previous results are not indicative of future returns by any means. It's extremely important that we bring this forward up front. This entire video presentation is designed to give you an idea of how a financial structure has been brought together, not as an enticement to buy into that investment structure. All due diligence must be performed, and you must work with a registered investment advisor or a Series 7 individual to be able to work with this sort of an investment. It is a private placement memorandum, so it does require that you are an accredited investor. The Abacus formula was really designed as an investment securitization vehicle. It's revolutionary in how it works by taking discounted senior life settlements, and a senior life settlement is an insurance policy owned by somebody typically 77 years or older that they've sold into market because they can no longer afford the premiums, their estate plan needs have changed, or they just don't want a policy anymore, and if they let it lapse, all of the years of premiums they've paid are gone and there is no benefit. This has created an open market, and within that market we're able to buy those policies at a significant discount below what the face amount of a death benefit would be. So for example, we buy $1 million life insurance policy on a 78-year-old. At the end of 5 years, we have a mortality event, and that's a nice way of putting it, where that senior passes on, we collect the $1 million. We may have paid $100,000 or $150,000 for that policy to receive that $1 million in the future. Our benefit in that is by being able to buy those policies at a discount and hold those policies in a special purpose vehicle, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We create effectively a huge hedging mechanism against the other investment, in which this case is the National Veterans Museum, where you may be making an investment in the museum and your principal is 100% protected and your future return is also protected as well. It's absolutely a phenomenal formula that I created.